Hello, I am Soo Jin, and my passion and interest are sustainability, energy, environment, social and governance, ESG. And I had those interests from a very early age. By the age of 3, I knew I was very attracted by the smell of exhaust of big lorries. So I had to think about an environment where I could smell those on a continuous basis. So I thought that if I were to work in a gas station, then I could smell that. And I don't know, maybe it was nostalgia about Korea, I'm not sure why. Then by the age of 6, I changed my interest and I wanted to find a cure to unemployment. And therefore, I wanted to become Prime Minister because what I wanted to do is to solve the problem of pollution and unemployment in the same time. So, for example, I noticed that the tunnels in Brussels were quite polluted, and so I felt that if you give jobs to unemployed people to clean the tunnels, then you would solve unemployment and you would solve the pollution in the same time. Fast forward, actually, I kept on being very interested in understanding systems and to solve the most complex problem on Earth. And so I studied a master in economics and a master in environment, development and policy, which are development studies and sustainability. What I am really passionate about is access to clean water and clean energy as a means of poverty alleviation, especially for vulnerable communities in developing countries. Because I believe by providing access to those utilities or facilities, basically, then you enable people to cater for their basic needs, and therefore they would be less likely to find themselves in the unfortunate situation to have to give up their own children. And as an adoptee, this is something that is really important to me. So my special gift, the ability to make the link between ideas, people and organization, so as a means of problem solving. And so I really enjoy sharing information and networking with people so that we can all progress together. So about my adoption story, it's a fairly standard adoption story. I was adopted to Belgium at the age of 18 months old, and my story started at the airport. So I actually still remember that day, even though I was 18 months old, and my adoptive parents came to the airport to pick me up along with my paternal grandfather. I vividly remember when we arrived at the apartment, especially we were entering the lift, and then also when we entered the apartment. I also remember that they were standing next to the big window in the living room and they were chatting, and I saw a fly and I tried to communicate with them about the fly. So that is something I remember. Until the age of 6, I had a very happy childhood, and that was mainly due to the fact that I spent a lot of time with my paternal grandparents, and they were absolutely fantastic. They had a lot of time for me, they loved me, they we did a lot of activities. We spent a lot of time at the weekend and during the holidays, and that was really nice. When I was 6, my parents decided to go their separate ways, so the relationship changed, and so it meant for me that there was a big change. I spent less time with my grandparents and more time with my mother and with my father, and from being quite extrovert and things like that, I became more introvert because I felt, rightly or wrongly, that I had to adapt to the circumstances. And as time went, life happened, and so I saw everything. I saw the good, the bad, and the ugly. Like in the Korean drama, I was exposed from a very early age to what in hindsight we could call diversity and inclusion. And so it really opened my mind from an earlier age to have all those experiences. But it came with ups and downs and lots of challenges in the same time as being adopted and things like that. This socio-economic landscape that became more and more challenging as time went. Actually, talking about adoption, at the age of 3, my school friend asked me one day, why didn't I look like my adoptive parents? And I didn't know that you were supposed to look like your parents. And so I asked my parents, why don't I look like you? And they say that's because I was adopted from Korea. So the day after, I went back to school and just came back to my friend with the answer. Even so, it didn't mean a lot to me at that time. Yes, my adoptive parents say that I had another set of parents in a far, far away country, but those parents passed away. So, yeah, so that was that.
Let it breathe, let it breathe. Just be yourself. 너를 위한 달콤한 시간.
So by the time I became a teenager, the situation with my parents became more and more difficult, and they enjoyed life quite a bit, and they decided to, do whatever they wanted and things like that. And at some time I felt that they had quite immature behavior, and sometimes I felt I had to be the adult in that relationship, so felt that I had to grow up quite quickly. At times the situation became very, very unstable, and so my saving grace is the fact that I concentrate from a very early age on my schoolwork. I was quite good at it, and I was quite popular at school, and so I made a lot of friends at school and outside of school, and that really was very good. I didn't think too much about Korea or the adoption when I grew up, and if I did, I kept it for myself because it was something more mystical and something that was difficult for me to just explore at that time, because also there were a lot of issues that happened within the family, and I didn't really have the time or the freedom to think about anything else than what was happening in the family. So I felt I had to kind of really close myself in and don't make any wave and just go through things. And then as soon as I finished my first MA masters, I left the country and the family, and I moved to the United Kingdom because I wanted to pursue my studies and I wanted to learn English fluently, because as a native French speaker that can be quite challenging. So when I came to the United Kingdom, I didn't have any emotional support or financial support from my adoptive family, and I didn't know anybody in this country, and I couldn't speak fluently the language, so it was quite challenging. Fortunately enough, over the years, I had saved some money through my pocket money, but also, doing some part-time job at the weekend.